This is perfect. We have a major Texans update regarding the newly signed running back, and he's talking a lot of praise, not only about CJ Stroud, not only about Joe Mixon, but the coaching staff as well, and how he feels that he's a perfect fit for the Texans only on his first 2 days at the facility. So that's great news to hear, and we're going to break it down all on Texans Digest. Some breaking news as well, but before we can get to that, 77% of you are not subscribed to the channel. If you want to stay up to date with all Texans news, just hit that sub button. And we got a couple things to break down for you today. I appreciate all the support on the videos. Let me know your thoughts on this stuff. But the first kind of alarming news of the day, Jimmy Ward was arrested this morning for a family violence incident. And again, veteran on the team, affecting him on the field as well as off the field. That's the news of the day. You know, there's not much more to say. It's a pretty shocking, alarming news statement and article, so we'll find out more details as it goes on, but that is the news right there for you on the screen. As far as the video today, we're going to be talking about Nick Chubb, obviously the newly recruited Texan. He's going to be awesome for this team, and not only has he talked highly of CJ Stroud, but he's also talked about how he played against him in college, and I'll let Chubb talk for us.
I went to Georgia, so in that game when they played OSU versus Georgia, I was afraid, because he was torching them, and yeah, he's a great player. I was on the Browns 2 years ago in a playoff game. We came here and torched us again, so I see what he's about. He's a great leader. I met him, came up to me, talked, exchanged numbers. Anything I needed, he told me to let him know. So he's a great leader too.
So we've seen Chubb play against us before in the past on the Browns in that playoff game. But the biggest thing here is the fact that he says that he feels awesome. And that's a great thing to hear. Is Chubb has said that he's felt, again, in much better shape. He's obviously came to the Texans to win something, and hopefully we can provide him for that. But he feels like the perfect fit here. I was questioning why they wanted me, then came here, realized it was a perfect fit. I mean, this was crazy as it is. When you look at how he's talking about the coaching staff, it really does fit Chubb perfectly. And that'll tie into what we'll talk about. The fact that CJ Stroud said that he met him, he found him as this quiet guy. He said he didn't recognize him at first. So, I mean, you could just tell that Nick Chubb is a worker. Maybe not the loudest person in the locker room, but he's there to work and he's there to do his best day in and day out. And that really is the perfect DeMeco Ryans led system, is the fact that DeMeco Ryans is a winning coach. He wants to win. He has a great culture with his guys. And that's kind of why the Texans have gone off to that start. And J.J. Watt was also in the Texans training room. So we'll talk about that in a future video. But as far as Nick Chubb and the thoughts on DeMeco Ryans, that is what you love to hear, especially early into, the offseason. You have, I mean, we're pretty in the thick of it now, but, there's still 2 months until the start of the season. And I know, most players that come to teams are going to be highly talkative of the coaches and the players around them. Nobody's going to bash anybody unless you're saying something that really you shouldn't be saying. But Nick Chubb is a really humble guy. And I just love his presence around the locker room. And the fact that him and Stroud were able to connect is a great start. And not only that, but the start to the season is going to be awesome with Mixon and Chubb. I mean, those two paired together are going to be dynamic. As far as his thoughts with Cleveland, they had a long tenure together, and he's finally accepted he wanted to move on. We have to keep in mind that he had other better offers and decided to take the one with the Texans because although it wasn't too much extra, Chubb is now with Houston mainly, like we said earlier, to win. And that's the biggest thing here is now he's praising Cleveland for his time there, but it's now over. So the biggest thing here is looking at sometimes maybe a way to just step up for this team because the last 2 years at Cleveland have not been the best for Chubb, right? You had a lackluster season last year mainly because you're coming off a major knee injury in that ACL, MCL reconstruction from, 2023 where he only played 2 games and then that injury happened. So again, he is now fully recovered. He's done this before. He can get back to normal. And now just him and Mixon running together, I mean, it's going to be explosive, but he thinks it's going to be another level.
I think we're great together. He's a bigger guy, tall, explosive. He runs super hard, and I do the same thing. So I think it'll be, us kind of doing that back to back and against other defenses. Yeah.
Nick, you got to watch him a little bit when he's at Ohio State.
So Chubb and Mixon together, I mean, it's going to be pretty much what Chubb said. It's going to be two guys running their hardest and trying to open up the offense. So I wonder how many times the Texans are going to run the ball this year, and it might just be like a 200-200 split. I mean, we talked about it in past videos. This is like the third Nick Chubb update video we've done, but the fact of the matter is the Texans have a lot of running backs, and 5 running backs on the roster, it's not likely you'll see that, and they're not likely to use all of their runners. But it begs the question to why did they draft Woody Marks in the 4th round if they were just going to sign Chubb anyway? So it's a little bit cautious, but I think the more thing here is the durability, the depth of the team, because Mixon is getting up there in age. Chubb will be 30 in December, so you only want to have more runners, and if Woody Marks is not able to take over and say Mixon goes down because his foot may not be 100%, you have Chubb there now too, who again is approaching the running back age limit in terms of how short their careers are. But I mean, this is still a guy who can be capable of an all-pro season, so don't think that just because it's Nick Chubb, it's past his prime kind of thing. I really do believe Chubb can be the answer this team is looking for. And again, the Chubb contract not only adds depth, but he's a good leader on off the field. Him and Mixon, I think, can really man that offense. But it also it makes you think about how this team is going to be run. And I mean, if you had Bobby Slowick as your offensive coordinator now, I would definitely be a little bit concerned because he would probably run it 80% of the game. I mean, seriously, because it was weird. When the Texans were in games last year, they kind of rarely ran it like into the ground. So it was a little bit funny that you look at this team now and like it's completely shifted in terms of how things are probably going to be run. Nick Caley giving a lot more free reign to not only CJ Stroud, but quarterback coach Gerard Johnson. So this is going to be a fun season for Houston. And if the offense can step up to what it was supposed to be last season and be a top 10 kind of team, throwing the ball, running the ball, and Stroud can do his thing, audible at the line, realistically, this is going to be a run-first team. I'm fine with that. You have new recruits, Nico Collins paired with Jaden Higgins, rookie, Jalen Noel, rookie, Christian Kirk, new guy from Jacksonville. So I'm excited for the season. Chubb only adds value to that. But it's also like, okay, is Woody Marks going to get a turn? Is Pierce going to get cut? Is Agumbawala going to be on the practice? It's just a matter of what is going on with the running back room. But that means you're going to have Chubb. You're going to have Mixon. Chubb's probably going to be your hard running through the tackles type of guy. But Mixon also does that too. So they're both very similar styles. It's just, I think Chubb runs a little bit hard. I don't know. I really don't know who runs harder through the tackles because they both are, really good in that aspect. But it just, I don't know. It makes me think, what is going to happen with this team? Let me know in the comments. Who's going to be the main guy? Obviously, it's probably Mixon, but how is Chubb's role going to increase? Is he only going to see 30% of snaps? Is he going to be 50-50 split with Mixon? It just makes me beg the question. So let me know your thoughts. But I think it's a little bit crazy that Chubb is just now here, perfect fit, kind of. Is he going to get a lot of work? And we're going to hope so, but I think his presence on the team alone as a veteran should pick these guys up. And realistically, the goal for this team, I mentioned it before, but it's an AFC championship. And I don't think it's really anything less than that. Last year, they let us down. I mean, H-Town, they let us down. There's nothing really else to say there besides the fact that this was supposed to be a Super Bowl contending roster. And now a lot of people are kind of putting the Texans down here as this team that might win the division, but they're not going to go far in the playoffs. And this is where I think things can change. But CJ Stroud now having control of his offense, feeling in rhythm. We saw the clips the other day with him throwing to Jaden Higgins. That's going to be a monstrous connection. But realistically, if we're going to see that kind of chemistry throughout the season and Stroud is in rhythm with his guys, I mean, run game is feeling itself. The blocking can hold up, the play calling, and everybody's having fun and playing football. This team should be just bound for greatness. So Stroud's still on a rookie contract. This is the time to go on a run before you pay your all-star quarterback $50 million a year, because once you do that, and sure, you can restructure contracts and all that, but it's unlikely to go further in the playoffs. You look at teams like the Ravens every year. They're this top 3 team, and then they always get knocked out of the playoffs before the Super Bowl. So you want to be that Bengals-led team. 3rd year with C.J. Stroud. I'm not saying this is make or break, because I think that they're going to make it this year. So this is going to be an awesome season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This has been Nick Chubb. I mean, he's going to do awesome stuff this year, but we've been talking about Nick Chubb. Awesome stuff here. Loving what we're seeing from Texans all offseason. They've done a couple interesting moves, but I'm loving it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that sub button if you are new. It's been Mike Zanetti, Texans Digest. We'll see you in that next video.